Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Please say hello if you can. And the camera is on. We're live. Welcome to Hangfire's live stream celebrating the release of Hackney Diamonds. This is our little release party that we are having here because it's a big day. This is our first time that we are meeting in 20 years to talk about a new Stones album. So I thought it'd be very fitting to have a few people over, so to speak, and just have a good time and chat and to talk about the music and talk about you being a Stones fan and talk about what it's like being a Stones fan, what your favorite songs were, or everything and anything. So this little stream that we have here will take about, I don't know, probably 45 minutes to an hour. So I have a couple things set up for everyone if they want to participate. You are obviously free to participate in the chat by chatting away and leaving as many questions or comments as you'd like. I'll try my very best to read everything, but there's a lot going on and a lot of things I have to be clicking, so forgive me if I don't get to them. But there are other ways you can connect with me and other people as well. As you can see in the ticker below, there are directions there if you would like to send a recorded message to me or to the group, because every recorded message I'll play live. Excuse me. And if you'd like to say hello, pose a question about the album or about the Stones in general, or leave a review for the album, you can do that by going to speakpipe.com/hangfire. You're going to hit record and you have 90 seconds to leave a message for me, for all of us. I'll play the recording so we all can hear, and that'll be your chance to kind of call in, so to speak. Unfortunately, we can't do live calls, so the best we can do will be these pre-recorded messages, which I'll play live right here on the stream. So go to speakpipe.com/hangfire to do that. And I don't know if I need to remind you, but by recording and sending a message, you are consenting to have your voice played online. So be aware of that, and I'm sure it'll be easy peasy. I've tried it. It's very easy to just hit record, and you don't have to leave your name. I actually do advise, please don't put your email addresses in, only because in the small chance I might accidentally share my screen, I don't want your email addresses to be visible. So your name will be just fine. First name, if you like. If you'd like to just be anonymous, that's fine too. But that's there for the taking if anyone would like to leave a message. Also, in the description in the video, you'll also see a link to a survey, to SurveyMonkey. It's a, kind of typical survey website. I'm just taking a little questionnaire to ask how you like the album and what your favorite songs are. So it'll be interesting to see what the results are by the end of the stream. I did this with the stream earlier today, and it was very interesting to see the results of that group. And it'll be interesting to see if the results match this time around later in the day with this group. So all in all, I have a couple things, ways to interact with everybody for today's stream. So I invite everyone to take advantage of it, and I would love to hear from you. So I hope you do go to speakpipe.com, as it says down below in the ticker, /hangfire, speakpipe.com/hangfire, to leave a recorded message, which I'll play here. Okay, so let me go to the comment section. Let me say hello. Who's here? Is anyone here? Is anyone here today? Let's see who's here. Hello. Well, Christopher, good to see you again. Thanks for coming by again. I loved your conversation earlier, and so I'm so happy to see that you're here today again. Thank you so much, man. And then we have Sammy from Miami. So happy to see you. Good to see you. Kat Kramer 1. Kat in LA. Kramer, I love that. Is it connected to Seinfeld? I love that if it is, because that Seinfeld is my show. T-Busy, good to see you. Gerard Fletcher, absolutely good to see you. Fantastic. Are you from Australia by any chance? You say good day. If you are, welcome. I'm happy that we're getting people from everywhere. In the last live stream, we had people from Norway and the Netherlands, and someone from Argentina was here. So, I mean, the Stones' reach is everywhere, right? And I'm so happy that we're here together, and like this channel's sort of been a place where people can just hang out and talk about the band. there aren't too many big places to do that, so I'm happy to do that now. So I'm happy that everyone is here. Hello, Sean. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're here for this live stream. Absolutely fantastic that you're here and you made it. I hope you're having a nice, relaxing evening at home. I wanted to do 2 live streams, one for, well, just different time zones. So anyway, I got a couple of things planned for tonight. Like I mentioned, there are ways to interact with me. If you'd like to send a recorded message, look at the ticker below. But I also want to share a couple exclusive videos, which I haven't shown anywhere else yet, from last night's surprise gig. Yesterday, the Stones played a secret surprise album launch in New York City. Completely, not sort of out of the blue. And they played a 7-song set. And out of the 7 songs, 5 of them were from the new album. It was Steve Jordan joining them on drums and also Daryl Jones on bass, which was kind of, it was a surprise a little bit, only because obviously Daryl has been playing with them for the longest time. So that wasn't a surprise. But there were questions of who would play bass, because on the album, Daryl does not appear on the album. It's mostly Keith and Andrew Watt on bass on the album. So it was interesting to find out that we'd see Daryl. And they all played a small gig at this club in New York City called Racket. And they rocked it. I mean, they played songs. I wish I had the set list. I'm sorry, I don't have it. Oh, actually, I do. They played Shattered, Angry, Whole Wide World, Tumbling Dice, Bite My Head Off, Sweet Sounds of Heaven, and then Jumpin' Jack Flash. I suspect they were filming from... You're right. Thank you, Stephen. I did my math wrong. And Keith is on The Tonight Show tonight. That's exactly right. Thank you, Christopher. Ronnie was on Wednesday night. Keith is on tonight. I heard someone say that Mick could be appearing next week. It's possible. I heard that Ronnie dropped by the Carnaby pop-up store in New York City today and shopped around and signed some things and said hello to people. So I think that was pretty cool. So I do want to share some clips from last night's show as well. So that's also happening tonight. But I definitely want to talk about the album. I mean, let's start talking about it. Because, this is the Hackney Diamonds release party. So, it's the whole point is to talk about the album. What were people's thoughts on the album? I just finished my 1.5 full listen of the album. I only heard the album for the first time, about maybe 6 hours ago. I don't know about you, but I've had trouble locating and securing a physical copy of the album, because apparently people have been having problems. Well, it seems like it's not just the stores having the problem, but Universal apparently may have had issues with distribution. I don't know the actual reason why that was happening, but that was the case. And so I had to listen to Spotify for the album, and which is totally fine. It worked out just great. And I was very, very, very impressed with it. I thought it was, and there's a lot to take in. I kept going back to the quote that kept coming back to me. I mentioned this at the last live stream, but the artist for the album, Hackney Diamonds, Paulina Almira, told me that there's an interview with her on my channel, which I suggest everyone checking out in case you want to know more about the album and how that comes about. But she mentioned that the brief and the prompt that she received from the Stones team specifically mentioned that this album was very emotional. So I can't help but think about that when I hear something like this after listening to the album. So Kat Kramer, I don't have a copy yet either. Wow, what's going on? I know I don't know the exact reason. I just know that it's a problem at the actual source. I don't know if it's actually related to one of the reasons why the Stones were pushing and pulling on the release dates. There was something to do with availability of resources for making vinyl and stuff like that and CDs. So I don't know if there's a line that they need to be standing in line in, and they just had an issue. But Yeah, everyone's copies have been um, having an issue getting to them. I know Amazon. I looked at Amazon. They said, "Oh, the earliest they would release it would be next week." I said, "Well, that's not going to do." But it's okay. We all have other ways to listen to it. I love this comment. Let's see here. Mystified me. Not past Voodoo Lounge yet, but may grow past it. Better than all after Voodoo Lounge. Love every song already. Yeah, that's a fair comment to make. I like Voodoo Lounge a lot. I think it's pretty back to basics, kind of a Stones idea. My favorite of the later era albums is Bridges to Babylon, and this one definitely is creeping up on it and threatening the favorite spot. You know, the thing about the Hackney Diamonds is that it packs a punch, and it's interesting because there aren't many Stones songs that really want to make you think and kind of make you feel, make you look inward and make you kind of uh, think about emotional things. And there are a lot of songs on this album that made you kind of think and pause and relate it to your own life or relate it to relationships and the things that they're singing about. That doesn't happen too often with the Stones. Usually with the Stones, it's always a fun party atmosphere, and yeah, so that was one of the things that I enjoyed from the track. But I mean, from the whole album. I think props go to Andrew Watt for really putting together a kick-ass album that I'm so glad it. It looked like he and Mick found a middle ground on how to achieve this. Mick wanted a damn good album after all this time, and Andrew Watt seemed to have delivered and knew what to look for. And Andrew Watt is a self-professed um, Stones nut. The way he's been phrasing it all this time in interviews is that he is a complete freak from behind the barricade, implying that he's been to several Stones concerts, and he's 33, by the way, so it's not like he's been to Stones concerts in the 70s and the 80s and whatever the heck, back then. He's been to recent Stones concerts, which says a lot, because A, they're pricey, and but B, not everyone will lean into artists when they reach a certain point, and I always like it when people kind of ignore that and they still attend. And he did apparently gone to several shows, and he apparently wore a different Stones shirt at every session, as a badge of, hey, I know this shit. So he's got the walk and the talk. And there's this great picture he put up today. Today's, in fact, his 33rd birthday, I believe. So how about that for great timing? His 33rd birthday lines up with the release of the Rolling Stones' new album. And he put up some great pictures on his social media. On Instagram, there's a picture of him with the No Security tour shirt, which I love seeing because that was one of my favorite tours. That was actually my first tour I ever saw the Stones. Here's a question for everyone. How many times have you seen the Stones? When was the last time? How about I'd love to know the first and last time you saw the Stones, the first time you ever saw them. Kat Kramer, you love Bridges Bell. I'm so happy to hear that, because that one is so unfairly maligned, I feel. I think people are a little too trigger happy when it comes to disliking Stones albums, especially recent ones. Christopher, I like Depending on You, Whole Wide World, Rolling Stones Blues, and Dreamy Skies. I'm with you. Depending on You is a monster track, very emotional, and I love Whole Wide World. That one, I mean, there's a great lyric there. There's so many great lyrics on this album, which is amazing. And you think the party's over, but it's only just begun. Let's raise a glass, get up and dance, because life's just hit and run. Oh my God. I mean, that really hit me. When I heard that, I thought that was a very poignant point to make. And, there aren't many moments of the Stones talking about this kind of stuff, a little bit, outside of the, oh, she hurt me and, what am I going to do? I'm angry at my girl kind of thing. So it's very cool to hear them sing about this kind of stuff. And that line really hit hard. But that's a monster track. I love Whole Wide World. Yeah, but unfortunately, Angry falls apart for me after the guitar solo. That's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that, Christopher. I think it, in fact, does the opposite. I think it builds so much after the combination of the background vocals and then the drums come up and everything rises and it just becomes a classic Stones outro. I've already talked about it many times before. CD Player 1994. Welcome. Hard to rank this album just yet. Definitely a catchy record. Pop oriented, but still loud and rocking. Top three, Get Close, Mess It Up, and Sweet Sounds. You know, I love Mess It Up so much. God, I can't wait for that single to come out. I almost wish that that was the second single. You know, I love Sweet Sounds Heaven. I thought that's a great track. It's fucking unbelievable. But you know, Mess It Up is just like, oh man, it's irresistible and it's almost, I hate to say it, it's it moves like Jagger through the Stones in a way. It's a little Maroon 5 ish in a way. But you know, they've always done one track like that in every album on A Bigger Bang. That track was sort of Look What the Cat Dragged In, which is sort of this dance rock thing, which was very, I love that track. So this song was really in that vein. And Charlie, man, oh man, do I miss that guy. You know, I think we all do. It was so great to hear Charlie. And I think that song really did. I'm so glad they saved it. I'm so glad they included that on. How well do you think the album will sell? Sean asks. That's a good question. I have no idea how that stuff even works anymore because, as you know, physical media is. I'm not even pretend to not answer that because I don't know how they count physical sales versus digital sales, if they're combined or they're separate buckets. Therefore, they will be counted differently. I don't know. It's all about streams at this point now. So I wish I had an answer for that. I'll have to put a note on that. I'd love to come back and answer that for you in a different video because that's a good question. So I can't answer that today. Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool, Sean. Oh man, 1978. Lucky guy. Some Girls Tour. Wow, I love that tour. That's my top 3 live albums. I was doing comments on another video about my top 3 live albums that they've put out in no particular order, but for the sake of right now. That Fort Worth 78 show, man, that's up there. That's fucking amazing. And then Brussels 73 and Elmo Combo 77. You can't get any better than those fucking 3 albums right there. So yeah, New Orleans, good for you. Hey, no, the Superdome New Orleans show. Were you at the New Orleans 1981 show? Because there's a great soundboard or radio broadcast. Either way, it's an impeccable recording came out from that show. Hopefully you have it. And last time for you was, whoa, you were in Hyde Park, eh, Sean? That's fantastic. Good for you, man. I saw as many 2021 shows as I could. I still have yet to go over across the pond to Hyde Park, unfortunately. Love to see this. Aventina first saw the Stones July 1975. Wow. Kyle Palace. Front row. Fantastic. I was 18. See them nearly 40 times since. Last one was Tampa. Hey, I was at that show at Tampa. They played Sad, 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 and I don't think Keith could hear his guitar or realize what key he was in because during the solo on that song, things went a little wonky. But 75, that's an amazing tour to see them. Absolutely, they are so many good stuff. I love that If You Can't Rock Me, Get Off My Cloud medley. That you wouldn't think that would go, but that's great. A lot of people have problems with the 75 tour because of Mick's style, his singing. It's a little, sloppy. Everyone is sloppy, but that's some of the fun of the Stones is that you can see how sloppy can they go because you think they're going to fall right off, but they manage to hang on. It's amazing. 30 times altogether. Hey, Sean, that's fantastic. Cat, Whole Wide World, Depending on You, Dreamy Skies, those are your top. That's you can't go wrong. It'll be interesting to see if you take the survey down below, folks, in the description. We'll be able to see this group's voting on what they may find to be their favorite track of the album. So we shall see what this group says in a few minutes. Dylan says, I also think that the lyrics are top notch. Embroidering the truth with things you never felt. Is that one of the lines? Yeah, I mean, there's so many lines on here, man. But you're right. I sensed an engaged Mick Jagger here. I sensed someone who was like, holy shit, okay, let's get to work. Not to say that he doesn't do that often, but it was just something special on this album to hear him really push, especially lyrically. Vocally, he's absolutely doing that, and there's no way around it. So that's pretty cool. Steven, nice to see you, man. How are you? First Stones show was November 6th, 1981. Fantastic. At Brendan Byrne Arena. Most recent was August 5th, 2019, MetLife Stadium, both in New Jersey. I've seen a lot of clips from a 2019 show, and that looked like a cool show. Charlie's last tour, I saw them in Houston of that year. They were still solid, still put together, but boy, was I worried. I was like, oh, Charlie, just be careful, man. Just walk very gingerly. Everyone take care of Charlie. I was so protective of him. But yeah, so Martin, the guitars on Get Close are so good. Ronnie and Keith weaving the sound, absolutely. There are so many guitars on this track, on this album, throughout the whole thing. It's just wall to wall. And what's great is that there are many dynamics. It's a very dynamic album. There are elements of in your face and loud, but then also there is some very subtleties going on. I mean, you can't get any more subtle than Rolling Stone Blues, right? Where things get really quiet and sparse and intimate between the Glimmer Twins, and it's so cool to see that. So, yeah, I'm going to take a break here from comments because I do want to jump over to, like I promised, I want to share some cool video with you from last night's special gig at the Racket Club in New York City. So if everyone is ready, I'd love to share with you just a minute. These are very short clips. I'm sorry, but this is all I have. But unseen footage from last night's show. Here's Tumbling Dice. Short clip, I know. I'm sorry, but that's all I have from that. There's going to be clips coming from many places from the show, but that's one that I had to show because, I mean, what a vibe, right? To be in there and to see them working out again and performing. And, in this stage of the game, anytime they're out and about is fantastic. So, I'm so happy that I can share some of this exclusive stuff with you guys, and there's a couple more clips to come as we go into tonight. How about we switch gears? I'd love to go and see how many people left a message to say hello on the live recordings here. Take a look at the ticker down below, folks, because there is a place where you can send a recorded message. If you want to send a recorded message, say hello, or leave a review for the album, you can do that at speakpipe.com/hangfire. Hit record, and you can send me a 90-second message, and you can say hello, say anything you want, or just say a couple things about the album, which is why we're here for, what we're here for. So let's do some of that. Let's see what people have to say. Here, so let's go. Here is a message from Rick.
Hey, Justin. Just wanted to say thank you for having this excellent YouTube channel and podcast. It's been awesome kind of starting off in the beginning and being along for the ride as, like the Hackney Diamonds teasers and promo and marketing efforts all kicked off, and we were kind of following you for updates. it's been a great journey, and now we're finally here. The album's out. Also, in terms of the album itself, love it. It's truly wonderful. It's so exciting that this band is still churning out new music, and hopefully we see them on tour. Being 27 and seeing them a good bit of times, but also never thinking I'd ever have the opportunity to walk into a record store and buy the new Stones album, not just a re-release or a box set release, but a new album of material, was truly an awesome experience today. So I hope everybody gets their copies and gives it a listen. It's truly wonderful. I'm about to give it a second run through, but cheers.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rick, for coming in and sharing your thoughts and saying hello. Really appreciate those kind words. I think, I wasn't expecting all that to happen in terms of, how this channel was going to go about. I thought that, I looked around YouTube and I saw that, hey, there aren't many places where people are talking about the Stones or celebrating the Stones. So I'll change all that. And so anyway, it happened to work out that, there were already rumblings of a new album and things were working out, and now here we are. So I'm super glad that we were able to, provide something in that gap. And yeah, it was quite a journey. And now we're here at the end of it. And I'm with you. This is my third studio album that I could buy in the store when it came out, so it's very special, and indeed, it's a rare situation. And unfortunately, apparently, some people had trouble going into the store to get their copy I was talking about earlier. So I'm so glad, Rick, that you were able to get your copy. I hope you're playing the hell out of it. I can't wait to get my copies. I'm hoping to get the vinyl myself, just a standard black vinyl. I really don't do the color vinyl thing. So I'll leave it all to everyone else to enjoy those. And I think I'd like to get the deluxe box set edition with the Blu-ray and the Dolby Atmos mix, the high-res music. I'm sure that will sound fantastic as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't acquired any of it yet, but it's coming. Yeah, so thank you so much, Rick. We appreciate that. Hope you stick around and enjoy the videos coming up, and also more live streams in the future. I've got one here from Brett. Brett, hello.
Justin, hi from Australia. Fantastic show, fantastic album. Look forward to many more albums to come. Let's all hope. Hey, bye.
Well, hello, Brett. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate that, all the way from Australia. Wow, what a treat. I'm so tickled that you're here and you're also watching and enjoying. And it's amazing. When was the last time the Stones were in Australia? Was it 2003? Could have been 2003. I don't remember them. They could have been there in 2014, maybe, somewhere around then. I think it was around, definitely with Charlie. It wasn't 2019. I don't think it was 17 or 18. I don't know why I'm thinking about all this right now, but if anyone knows, let me know. But anyway, I'm so happy, Brett, that you're enjoying the channel. I hope you stick around as well. I've got a message here from Steven. Okay, I have silence so far. I'm going to give it a, let's see. You might have something at the end here, Stephen. Okay, I'm going to the end here. I don't think we have a message here, unfortunately. Stephen Fitch, or Fish, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Try that again. Make sure your microphone is on and try to submit one more time. You can always play back the recording after you submit it to make sure it captured everything. So make sure you check that out before you hit submit. I'd love to hear from you. So let's move on to Liam. Liam. Oh, and by the way, everybody, if you are submitting, I'm happy to see that everyone is submitting and putting a comment in. No need to include your email. Please don't include your email. I would not want it to be accidentally. If I share my screen, I would hate for it to be accidentally shown. So please don't send your email. That's not needed. So thank you. Next, Liam. Hello.
Hey, Justin. Thank you so much for your podcast. Liam here from Australia.
Wow.
I'm off to see Paul McCartney tonight, and I just hope he plays Bite Your Head Off. That's all. Listen, Justin, I really love the new record. I've been a fan since 64. I'm almost 70 years old now, so I've been a long time fan. But every Stones record gives you something different. Even the maligned ones, which I love. I love Bridges to Babylon. I love Bigger Bang. Big fan of undercover as well. This record, I do find it really emotionally affecting. I was quite moved, and every time I've listened to it, I'm quite moved. Um, one thing I did notice is with this, a couple of things. Basically, Mick Jagger's ability to inhabit a song, to really perform a song in a studio, really unparalleled. And I find Keith Richards, Tell Me Straight, I really love that song, and I love the way it's integrated into the album in a way that perhaps some of his recent songs haven't been. There's almost been tacked on at the end. I really love it. There's so many new sounds on this album as well. Anyway, Justin, I've spoken for too long. Love your stuff. We all love you. You just keep going, mate, and have a great day. All the best.
Oh man, wow, well, that made my day. Thank you, Liam, so much for that wonderful message. I really appreciate it. That's so cool. Wow. Yeah, well, I resonated with everything you said there. It is very emotional. I mean, I just listened to this album the second time just today, a couple hours ago, and again, all the spots that made me twitch earlier with feelings and emotions made me twitch again, because there are a lot of times where the album it pokes you in spots that you didn't know you were vulnerable in. And again, how many Stones albums can do that? It's one thing for a Stones song to make you feel things and make you go, oh, okay, that made me feel a little sentimental or sad or, longing or whatever the case may be. There are vulnerable, tender moments in Stones music, obviously, but a whole album consistently, not the whole album in this case, but a lot of moments in this album. This is one of the few times where I remember being in that state for a prolonged time in this album. So I think that needs noting. It's I don't think it's not a issue of a 2 + 2 = 5 here, because I would say that it's not a coincidence that an album like this, which packs a lot of emotional substance, comes at the heels right after them losing one of their own. That was a huge loss for everyone, in the band, outside the band, the fans, whatever. The whole universe, the Stones universe, shook when we lost Charlie. So for something like this album to come after that, I don't think is a coincidence. But Liam, you did say something fantastic, which I totally believe, and I'm constantly preaching in all of my videos, which is to give every album gives you something different, and that's so true. And I think you've hit the nail on the head, my friend, because I think that's I'm sure that's what Mick Jagger is thinking about each time he thinks about a new Stones album. How can we do this differently? Even the way they record music, every album has been recorded in under different circumstances, under different, methods or different styles. I've talked about Bridges to Babylon a lot, probably more than most people care to mention, but it's one of my favorite albums, forget the decade, just in general. And that album, for example, saw them experiment with, okay, what happens if we just hunker down in this studio? At the time it was Ocean Way. I don't know what it's called now, but it's the one on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. And the facility has several different rooms available for you to record in, very large rooms. There's 4 or 5 of them, and they apparently took hold of every one of them. And there was Mick's studio, Keith's studio, Charlie's, and they're all kind of working in these different areas, and they were all kind of jumping from room to room. Okay, what guitar do you need on this track? Bam. Okay, I got to go over to Ronnie's, and blah blah blah. They were all running around, and so people like to say that that album is a 2 solo albums smashed together. I don't see it that way. I think it's a very streamlined, concise, direct album without any frills and without having to make any compromises too much, because that's what albums really are, compromises. Anyway, I think this album offers a lot of intensity and a lot of emotion, and it's very rare to see that again. So let's see. Liam, again, I'm so appreciative of your kind words. I'm so thankful that things are working. Enjoy Paul McCartney. I forgot that I didn't know he was already on tour. I've been seeing ads for his Got Back. Is that what it's called? Got Back tour, which I believe started maybe last year. But I'm so happy that he's made it out there already. I love Paul. I love the Beatles too. So I'm so glad that he's also still out there as well. And let us know if he did play the big track. That would be pretty amazing if he did. He could probably handle the vocals. It's a little helter-skelter-ish, I suppose. I'm going to play a couple more. I have a couple more recorded messages that people have submitted. So let's say hello to Alan.
Hey, Justin, I just think you're amazing. I hope you're having a good night tonight. I think that all of these songs on this album are really, really good. And I think some of them will reach another level when they're performed live. I think we saw that last night. I love when the guys work them out. And I think we really saw that last night. And I think they were really terrific. Thanks. Bye.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate the kind words. And I agree with you. That's the fun part, right? Is hearing the songs in their early young stage when they're on the record, but it's another whole thing to see them on stage and to see them continue to mature, and I wonder what songs they would do. I mean, yesterday was obviously a hint as to what they would probably do on stage. Angry, definitely. Whole Wide World is absolutely fantastic. In fact, while we're on Whole Wide World, I'd love to show you a small clip from last night of this fantastic clip of Ronnie ripping it on guitar. I'm sorry, but it comes up as a YouTube short, so I'm going to let it loop a couple times to make sure everyone gets to see the whole thing. I won't be able to control starting it from the beginning or not, but here's Ronnie last night playing Whole Wide World. Okay, how about that? Wasn't that fantastic? That was Ronnie last night during the fantastic Secret Club gig. And I'm going to blow someone's mind. Dr. Sexy, this is freaking live, all right? So calm down. It's 5:38 Pacific over here. This isn't some kind of conspiracy where someone here this is an AI. This isn't a robot. This isn't some program that I've programmed to sit here and talk with everyone. This is a real person talking with everyone and having a good time. So if you have a comment about the album, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, I have not heard these messages because no one knew that the link was up. So the link is up, only got live when this live stream started. So I can't listen to messages that weren't submitted yet. So the messages are coming in right now as we're speaking because it's live. Believe it or not, things are live still in this world. So let's see. I would love to continue with these messages that I've already heard before. Dylan, let's say hello to Dylan. Oh, Dylan, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. And that documentary series was very tough to put together, but a lot of it couldn't have been done with also the fantastic cooperation that Ian McPherson, who puts together the fantastic timeisonourside.com website. He allowed me to use a lot of the quotes and things there that help kind of help tell that story. But I appreciate that. Yeah, that I'm thinking of even changing the title to that, because that whole story of the long saga of them putting an album together, that's not completely irrelevant in a way, but it's almost like that story went down a different path compared to where they are now. I mean, this album, Hackney Diamonds, is not exactly the result of those years and years of sessions. I mean, they only kept 2 songs from those sessions, the song Mess It Up and Live by the Sword. So like, yeah, I mean, all that trial and error. And in case no one knows, that there's these 2 videos I put together called The Story Behind the New Rolling Stones Album. And it just documents the time it took for them to kind of get together in between tours to try to get an album together, and Mick and Keith coming together to write songs and work on demos, come back again. It was at least 10 to 15 sessions before they even got to them deciding, you know what, we got to start fresh, which is what happened last fall. So Hackney Diamonds was really only the genesis since last fall or so. I'd say in the autumn period is when they decided, okay, clean slate, let's just start from scratch, sort of. Apparently Mick was not happy with the stuff they'd accumulated up to that point. And they said, you know what, we need something else. And then now we have Hackney Diamonds. So yeah, so my 2-part video is sort of relevant, but it doesn't completely tell the story of Hackney Diamonds, because the bulk of my story had to do with what happened up until last fall. Because my impression was that this album would be the result of all those sessions from that whole period. And it's the opposite. They only kept 2 tracks from that whole period. So yeah, so anyway, so I appreciate that, and I have to say that I happen to notice the same thing. I don't know what it is about Stones fans. We're like, hey, we're so laid back that we don't even need to connect or feel like we want to engage. And so there hasn't been, I found, much of a space for people to talk about this stuff. And it's so funny because the genesis of this channel, Dylan, that I'd love to share with you, is that I was watching this podcast about the Beach Boys, which is another favorite band of mine, and this fantastic journalist, Howie Edelson, was the guest on this Beach Boys podcast. It's called Beach Boys Talk, by the way. And he said something to the nature of, oh, people and fans can get together and talk about the Beatles and the Beach Boys and Queen or whoever, but not like the Rolling Stones. And I got up from my seat like, what the, well, I'll change that. And that was really the genesis of me going, well, okay, I looked around, and it's true, there weren't many central hubs for Stones fans to say, you know what, this is a place where I can geek out on the Stones. And all my friends know that I needed a place to put all this energy in, because it was constantly going on deaf ears to a certain point. I mean, my friends are so generous. I love them, but they can only hear so many Rolling Stones. Did you know this? Stories. Yes, Dr. Sexy, you got a shout out. So how about that? Look, it's live. Oh my God. To think the amount of effort it took for me to tell my AI machine to put your comment up there and show your picture. Took a lot of work, but it was worth it. Okay. Hey, Jeff. Haha, it is live. It's live. How are you going to start it? Oh, my friend, my good friend, my brother, Jeff Giegel is here, folks. One of my best friends. I'm so happy that he's here. Jeff and I he's one of the few people I've went to a Stones show with. I don't go to too many Stones shows with people because it can be expensive. But Jeff, what was the date? I always get it wrong. 9/16, right? September 16, 2002. Jeff and I saw the Stones at the Aragon Ballroom, which is, it's a theater show. It's a club show. It was the Licks tour when the Stones did three different shows on that tour. They did a stadium show, which had the greatest hits set list, and then you had the arena show, which had a mixed set list of some lesser known tracks focused on an album, and then the deep cut set list from a theater. And Jeff and I, we were at the Aragon Ballroom where we saw them do for the first time. Well, if you don't count the Toronto warm-up gig from that year, technically it didn't be the second time, but they performed Torn and Frayed from Eggs on Main Street, and they also performed Worried About You for the first time on that tour. So it was an amazing night. Bono came on stage to sing on It's Only Rock and Roll. I advise everyone to go check out that clip. There's all these recordings are on YouTube. Every bootleg, every recording that Stones, every show that the Stones have done has been recorded, and it's on YouTube. Most likely on Ed B's Music. I'm sure people recognize that name, right? That channel, Ed B Music. He puts up a bunch of live stuff. Anyway, and Bono had this great little thing where he extended the song. During the It's Only Rock and Roll, I Like It part where Mick kind of invites the audience to sing along, Bono changed things around, was having fun, and he goes, so he just name checks all the people in the band. He calls Mick Sir Mick, which was, kind of like, ugh. Bono, take it easy, because I don't know if people remember this, but that autumn, 2002, was when Mick got his knighthood. And is that technically the proper way to say it? Got his knighthood. That's very American of me, isn't it? But where he was, I don't know, granted. How do you receive a knighthood? And there was this friction between Mick and Keith about him receiving one. Keith was kind of thinking it was frivolous that he would receive something like this. And so for Bono to go on stage and call Mick Sir Mick while Keith is on stage was quite a moment. Anyway, and then for a second they go into a little bit of a going to a go-go during this version of It's Only Rock and Roll. Anyway, it's worth the price. Go look it up. The Rolling Stones, Aragon Ballroom, 2002, September 2002, with Bono. It's a fantastic moment. But anyway, we didn't hear Dylan, huh? Oh darn! Let me. I'd love to. Let's play Dylan. Let me refresh my mailbox of people. Oh, okay, we got one more message. This is Dylan. Yeah, so hopefully you heard it. Please let me know if you did hear it, because I want to continue playing those recordings, but I want to make sure that you're hearing them. I hate having to go all the way down to the messages, the comments. But please let me know, did you hear Dylan that time? Because I'd like to continue showing these recordings. Oh, you know what? Oh, God, okay. Sorry, folks. You didn't hear Dylan. You know why? Because I need to do this. Okay.
Justin, I just want to say thank you for the excellent work that you've been doing on the Hangfire podcast. I think the world was missing this kind of caliber of Stones content, and you have certainly delivered, especially on the making of Hackney Diamonds, that video series that you put together. Really great work.
So that was Dylan. Hopefully you heard him that time, right? Please let me know if you did or did not. Because like I said, I have a couple more messages I'd like to show everyone. Yes, thank you, Remy's. Okay, the question here, thank you, Jeff. It is 9:16. I always get that wrong, right? Do you think there will be a documentary about this album? Apparently there is one, man. There's one that's in the works right now. It's apparently going to be a 1-hour documentary that's going to be, I don't know, probably on the streaming sites, because they said it was a TV documentary, so I assume they mean streaming. But yeah, I don't know at what point they've started the cameras rolling in the process of the album, but I'm hoping it was early enough, because my favorite stuff is early in the process when they're just figuring out the song. So if that was when they had the camera started to roll, then we are in for some cool stuff. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, keys, Jeff. How are we going to start it? Alan, so happy to see you, man. How are you? Are you traveling around? This man is the international man. He's always traveling. I'm getting late to these comments, folks. I'm sorry if I'm 5 minutes late, but there's just so much to catch up on. But Alan, so good to see you here. Dr. Sexy says Bono can kiss my beep beep. Well, I get it. Bono is, not everyone's cup of tea. You don't think his glasses are hip and cool? Christopher, Keith hates that Mick took the knee. Yeah, I think so. That's a good way of putting it. Maybe that's what it was. Let me play one more recording here from, we have a couple more. Great, I'm happy. Here's one from Anonymous.
Hey, Justin, Alan again. I just want to continue to thank you for everything you do. I saw the Rolling Stones in 1982 was my first time, I believe it was 1982, at the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago. And then I also saw them in the Coliseum in Los Angeles, where where Guns N' Roses opened for them. My question for you is, what is your favorite song on Hackney Diamonds? Let us know. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Alan. Really appreciate that, man. Thanks for those nice comments, those nice words. Right now, as of this moment, I can't shake off Mess It Up. It's just something about it is just irresistible. I love that Charlie is there playing his ass off, and he's doing that 4 on the floor thing, which he tended to do a lot, especially during those later years. But it works out so well. I hope that this becomes the next single, because I want everyone else to experience the joy that I get when I listen to this song. It's just fun, and it's just the party Stones that I love. It's just party, even though lyrically, it's a very interesting lyric. Again, all these, you stole my numbers, you stole my codes, you took my keys, and then you nicked my phone, seduced my landlord, broke in my home. Don't get excited. Why don't you leave me alone? You think I'll mess it up, mess it up, mess it up, all for you. Wow. Very interesting ideas here. And by the way, I'm always relying on these kind of details for lyrics and stuff on the website timeisonourside.com. So I appreciate that. Let's see. Okay, I want to make sure I get to everyone's comments. I was worried that people weren't hearing it, the audio, but that was from earlier. Heard and agree, Dylan. Okay, but Sammy says no sound. Was I don't think it's directed by. Did people like Shine a Light? I have a hard time watching Shine a Light myself. It's tough because Keith had just come back from this very terrible head injury, and so he's a little wobbly, I think, in this recording. But yeah. Did people get to hear that last comment, by the way? Can someone confirm again? Because I don't want to keep playing them if no one is hearing them and you're just hearing silence while I'm just hearing them. But I need to know if these calls are coming in. Alan was talking about the first time he saw the Stones, which was he saw. How about that, Jeff? Are you still on here? He said that he saw them at the Rosemont Horizon. That's pretty cool, huh? Imagine seeing them in that place. Jeff and I are from the same hometown, so we know the Rosemont Horizon very well. It's still standing. It's now the Allstate Arena. Isn't that right? But yeah, the 81 tour, man, Alan, you're a lucky guy. That's a fun-ass tour to see the Stones. And to think they were already old men at that time where people were already complaining about them, but that was now technically their middle area. That is pretty amazing. Let me continue sharing these recordings. We have one more recording that someone left here from Anonymous.
Justin, you're rocking it out tonight. Here's my question for you, because you know all this stuff. Keith Richards one time talked about Elton John singing only songs about dead blondes, and then Elton John retorted that Keith Richards was an arthritic monkey. Hey, what do you think of that conflict? And what do you think of Elton John being on the latest album? Nobody knows this stuff but you. Let us know what you think. Thanks.
I love Alan. Alan, you should be. Please come as often as you can. You're fantastic, and let me know what your screen name is so that I can always spot you. Um, that's a good question. Yeah, and as you did, people hear that? Again, I'm now being all paranoid that people aren't hearing these recordings. But Alan was wondering about the beef between Elton John and Keith Richards. Yeah, I was shocked as anyone else to hear that Elton was on this album. I forgot to look up or confirm how exactly Elton is on the album. I don't know if he came in. Okay, thank you, Texas, for confirming. I think he did come in while the whole band was in there. And, it's hard to say because I don't know how serious that beef really was. I think the beef, if there was one, there probably wasn't one really, but I think they began to melt sometime in the last 10 years because everyone was, okay, everyone was wondering the same thing when Keith, was it the GQ Awards? I think he was receiving some kind of fashion award or something like a Man of the Year thing from GQ magazine, and he had this funny speech when he was receiving the speech. He was in a suit and yeah, kind of suit and tie, which is like, oh, look at Keith all dressed up. But then he gives a speech and says, oh, this isn't me, and he rips what is a prop fake tie and button-down shirt and reveals a T-shirt underneath that says, I think the one he was wearing said "Do not X-ray" was on it, and so that was a little bit of a nice little bit that he did. But anyway, the point is, at that same gala or fashion show or awards show, Elton John was there, and there's this picture of Keith and Elton is greeting Keith at Keith's table, and there's a picture of them kind of smiling and laughing. So that was all the first time I think people realized, oh, I guess whatever bullshit that there was between them wasn't really there. And I don't know, Keith can be a little, callous, I think, on how he deals with certain other people. If he's not that he's threatened by them, but if he doesn't agree with their musical position on things or some other details, he'll be very rough towards them. But he can be a little rough, more rougher than he needs to be. So that comment towards Elton, I thought, was a little uncalled for. He can make a lot of those kind of comments. But yeah, I don't know if that was all that needed to be put water under the bridge. But it looks like whatever it was, they got past it for this record. And I think they all noticed that, hey, there's no time to be all hung up on these details. So let's see. I think that was the last, yes, that was the last recording that I received. Oh, okay, we got Stephen. Okay, great. Stephen tried to submit something earlier, and he submitted something now. So let's try this again. Stephen Fish.
Hey, Justin, it's Stephen Fish again. I'm trying this on my cell phone now to see if it'll work here. Thank you very much for all that you do with the Hangfire podcast. I've been a fan of the Rolling Stones since 1978. That's 45 years now. When Some Girls came out, that's when I first became a fan. I gotta say, I love Hackney Diamonds. It's a really, really good album. So far, favorite track seems to be Sweet Sounds from Heaven. I should also let people know that I have a page on Facebook called The Streaming Stones, in which I post information and links about upcoming live streams of or related to the Rolling Stones. Of course, I've mentioned Hangfire there, and as well as some of the other streams like Edby Music, Edby Live, and the other ones. So I welcome you and your listeners to join Streaming Stones, and thank you very much for what you do again.
Well, thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you mentioning that and joining in on the conversation. I definitely will check out Streaming Stones. I haven't checked it out yet, but it sounds fun. Sounds like there's some cool stuff there. Can't wait to see what's there. I'm all for as much Stones as I can. Sweet Sounds of Heaven is growing on me as well. It's an epic. How can you not like it, for God's sakes? It's such an epic. I mean, that's what's great about this album, is that it offers so many different things. I mentioned this in another live stream, that it's so many rooms in this house. There are so many different vibes that you can go from room to room and just discover new things. And so that's what's cool about this. And Sweet Sounds of Heaven has this fantastic vibe to it. It's loose. You can feel the room that they're in, which is a nice change of pace, because a lot of the other songs, you don't necessarily feel the room that they're in. You can't really hear the dynamics of the room or the character of the room. But in this room, you can, just like you can on Dreamy Skies. You can hear that acoustic guitar. It's pushed in the back. You can hear it reverberate against the walls. You can hear the room. And so there are moments of that. It's really a lot of drastic dynamics in the album. There's a lot of in your face where it's really jam packed of production and not enough space, because it's just everything is so large. But then there's room of sparse things like Rolling Stone Blues and Dreamy Skies and Sweet Sounds of Heaven, where there's air and you can breathe and see a little light in the sound. And the way Sweet Sounds of Heaven just kind of goes into that extended jam at the end. Oh, I live for those moments, and I'm so glad they captured something like that. So so happy to hear that. So thank you, Stephen, for your great comments. Appreciate that. Sammy mentions, by the way, Justin, you broke a sacred rule by putting Brussels Affair ahead of Yaya's. Ooh, I know. I think there's going to be the Stones officials will be at my door asking to see my Stones fan badge at some point to make sure that I'm all right. I have everything going on in my head right, because I know that's blasphemous. But, you know, frankly, I think Brussels outshines Yaya's in a lot of ways. But then there are a lot of things on Yaya's that Brussels doesn't have. But that's another story. Dylan asks, Justin, are we going to listen to any of the tracks on the stream? I don't think so. I don't have anything set up for that. I mean, was there a song that you guys wanted to hear that before we go off? The only reason why I won't do that is because YouTube is very touchy and picky with copyright stuff. And so if I play something that will be hit by a copyright, that'll affect the streamability and the availability of this recording later. So I wouldn't want to risk that. So unfortunately, I won't be able to do that, Dylan. How many Stone songs has Scorsese used in his movies? That's a good question. Jeff, are you still here? Jeff had his great idea that, which I'm going to do. I just haven't had time to do it yet. I will do it. I will talk about rank all the best times Scorsese has used the Stones in his movies, and it's got to be 10 times, right? It's quite amazing because he uses them so well. Okay, we're at the 1 hour mark, so I think we're gonna begin to bring it in for landing in the next 15 minutes or so. So if there's any more people who want to send a recorded message, I invite everyone to do that. In the meantime, how about we also share the results of the survey, which I left in the description below of the video. And unfortunately, I can't neither share it on the screen or recite it because the link to the survey is actually very, very long and awkward. I can't really recite the URL completely for you, but it's in the description and I hope you find it. But it leads you to SurveyMonkey, where it asks you what you thought of the album and what your favorite song on the album is. So it'd be interesting to see what this group finds to be the best song on this album. Yeah. Andrew Watt put too much sugar in production. Sal, is that you? Yeah, interesting phrase. So much sugar in production. It's a little too rich, is what you're saying. Is that what you're saying? It could very well be. It's a very upfront album. Dr. Sexy, Bite My Head Off. Okay. It's a hell of a track, you know? I mean, Paul McCartney is actually rocking it on that bass part. And I mean, what a joy that was to hear him. I want to make sure before we leave, I want to play a couple more clips from last night's show. This is exclusive footage that has not been seen anywhere else, but I want to make sure people are singing. So I might just play it anyway. But I posted a video last night of showing the best of some of the moments that came from last night. So I definitely want to show that. So for the last 10 minutes of the 10 minutes of this stream, I will be playing straight through some long clips of some songs from last night. They're not complete recordings, but they give you a nice, feel of the night. Okay, let's see. I'm so happy that people are having great conversation, because that's what this is all about. This is a chance to kind of connect and to see where everyone is on the album and stuff. So let's take a look at the results, from the survey. Let's see. Here we go. So let's refresh it to make sure we got the latest information in case anyone came in the last second. Oh, good. One more person came in since I checked it last. But look at that. How about that, folks? So look on the left here. Did you like Hackney Diamonds? Let me make sure. Am I sharing correctly? Did you like Hackney Diamonds? Wow. So this is a little bit different. This is more neck and neck than the group that I was speaking to earlier today. Earlier today in the first live stream I conducted, the results were a little bit more under the yes, it's great. That was over 40% of people were under the feeling that, yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's not, they were not over the moon for it, but it looks like this group was over the moon for it. So I'm thrilled to hear it. I'm approaching that. I'm definitely, yes, it's great. That's where I am at the moment. There's no doubt about it. There's no way I could vote for it to be anything lower than that. Meh, it's okay. Interesting. Well, that's totally fair. I mean, you know, it'd be very interesting to see what people think of the album after some time has passed. You know, because 9 times out of 10, people who are lukewarm over an album, these especially a new Stones album, always come around when they listen to it later. And that has been what I've noticed with albums like Bridges to Babylon, Voodoo Lounge, if you will, because no matter how you feel about the album as a whole, this is my mantra. I'm going to like print a t-shirt that says this, but no matter how you feel about a Stones album as a whole, there are always small or big, but there are moments of brilliance in every single Stones album has those moments of brilliance, and they're sprinkled around. It could be a part of a song, it could be one song, it could be 2 songs. Again, it doesn't matter how you feel about the whole album, but every single fucking Stones album has that magic. I don't care what fucking year you're talking about. 2023, 1971, whatever the case may be, there's always good stuff there. So, very curious to hear the people who come back in 10 years, and we'll meet again for a live stream, and we'll see how everyone feels. But Matt, it's okay. I totally get it. It's a very aggressive album, so if it rubs you the wrong way, I don't blame you, because it's a very, it just takes you by the neck, really. What's your favorite song in Hackney Diamonds? Now, this is interesting. This group says that's almost about 35% of everyone said that the Sweet Sounds of Heaven was the runaway favorite track next to the Whole Wide World. The last group was stuck between Whole Wide World, Dreamy Skies, and Bite My Head Off. In fact, Bite My Head Off had the lead for a while in the last group. That one was leading the way, and that one is amazing to me. That, I mean, not to say that I shouldn't be that surprised. I mean, it's a great fucking song, but you know, it's still a very it's a little bit of an outlier. It's a very punkish song, which is so cool, but I guess it harkens back to a lot of the stuff they could have done on like Emotional Rescue. You know, a lot of that punky stuff. Like, by the way, you know, I'm very intrigued on the album of Mick whenever he uses his British voice. I don't think, or British accent. I don't know if people think about those things too often, but Mick usually sings in an American accent, that kind of bluesy, or if he's feeling having fun, that country, you know, um, drawl when he's doing country songs. But for the most part, it's always an American accent. And so to hear him to hear him sing in a British way of speaking, it always makes me go, what? What's that? And so I thought I forget now which moments exactly. Yeah, what a drag it is getting old. Exactly, Sean. Mother's Little Helper, is exactly what I'm thinking about. But, and that song also, Where the Boys All Go. Hey, girls, what you doing tonight? Do you want to dance or do you want to fight? You know, yeah, that's it. Armando, there you go. See, Where the Boys Go is one where he sings in a British accent. And see, these things are, yep, you got it, Christopher. Where the boys all go. Where the boys all go. I hear him sing that, and it's like I immediately think of the movie A Clockwork Orange or something, because it's just like, very well, that whole British thing, and I love when he flips that switch because it's very specific, and I'd love to know when he decides when to sing that way. That's a very interesting situation where when he decides, what? Oh, it works because it's almost like he sings. He's a different again because Mick he's a different character in all these songs, and that's what my first episode on my podcast was about. Was talking about how Mick is a chameleon and he just turns from person to person or character to character as he goes from song to song. He's so close to Bob Dylan in that way. And, he would probably not want to talk about stuff like this. But if we had to get into talk shop about these guys, I can't help but put Mick on top there with Dylan in terms of their chameleon-like ability. Because both of them can really put on different masks. And Mick, more so than Dylan, obviously, Mick has a lot of freedom to do and say and sing in any way he wants, and to act it out and to be different characters and to physically actually take on that role. And Dylan is limited in his way. He's not going to obviously show it outwardly, but yeah, totally. I put them together on that same level. In fact, I was thinking earlier, I think I heard someone say, I forget where now, that this album, Hackney Diamonds, is equivalent to Bob Dylan's Time Out of Mind, which is a thought-provoking idea. Whether or not you agree with it, it gets you thinking, and it gets you thinking about the idea behind that, which is Time Out of Mind, for the Dylan fans out there, was a dividing line in Dylan's work where it's like, holy shit, the guy is back, or holy shit, this isn't like the others, or the others have been. He had, that point was a very rough period for him, Knocked Out Loaded, and what's that other one that had Silvio on it? I like Silvio, at least the live versions of Silvio. Okay, I don't want to bore the non-Dylan fans. Oh my God, thank you, Christopher. Thank you so much for donating today. You're the first ever to do that, and I'm so thankful for that. You're the first person to ever do that, and I'm so touched by that. Thank you so much for that. Wasn't expecting that, but that's very, very sweet. I appreciate that so much, man. That's so kind. Yes, a lot of people connecting with that Time Out of Mind album. Did everyone hear? Oh, it's back there, but I have the box set to the Time Out of Mind that they just came out of. Stephen, also a big fan. Naomi, Jagger is a walking masterpiece. The guy is, and what's amazing to me is that, and I thought I was going to wrap up soon, but I don't see the signs of people getting, wanting to head out just yet. So I'm happy to stay and chat as long as you want. I can do this all fucking night, folks. So, there's no stopping me. Just watch numbers go down. But I think, Mick portrays himself as, he doesn't have to portray, he is this guy. He won't write his autobiography. He won't look back. He won't spend any time in the past. it's commendable, you know, because when you do that and you're stuck in the past, you can't really get to too many places. So I appreciate his ability to constantly push forward, and that's what he's doing constantly in his life. And I think he knows. I mean, for him to go, you know what, we've got these, you know, I don't know how many songs they had with Charlie in the lead up to Hackney Diamonds in all those sessions. They could have amassed maybe, well, at one point they had 40 songs in one session, or they had 40 songs in the can that they were looking at one of the sessions. I mean, 40 songs. And at the time, and you can read or hear or watch all about this on my 2-part documentary, where Keith is sort of like, you know, I don't want to do 40 mix songs. You know, I want to write songs with him. So a lot of them could have been mixed songs. But the point is, I don't know what my point was now, actually. But no, Mick, I think, has a very robust idea of how things work in the world, in the universe. My point is, I think he's a lot deeper than people like to say about him, or he even will say about himself. But, you know, that's his private life. Why would he need to prove that to anyone? He doesn't. But I sense that he has a very... he's got brains as well, which is rare in a rock star, especially a lead singer. Okay, anyway. I want to talk about Armando. Live by the Sword is very fun, but it's the weakest for me. Still, 4 out of 5. You know, I might be with you there, Armando. I'm so happy Bill Wyman is back. But the song itself, you know, there's something lacking or something missing that I haven't latched onto yet. It might be more the lyrics that will have to speak to me, because the rest of the song is lost on me. But I have a lot of room to enjoy it, because I've not yet heard the song with headphones on. I've only heard it coming through speakers, specifically car speakers. So I wanted to hear it hit me in the body and cranked up. So I couldn't hear all the details. So I can't wait to hear this album with headphones and really dive deep into it, because I think I'm going to be hearing a lot of cool stuff. Modern Times is a masterpiece. Yeah, absolutely, Christopher. It's one of my favorites. I love that. What's that first song? Thunder on the Mountain. Thunder on the Mountain. I love that track. I love that track because, well, I love it for many reasons. It swings like fucking hell. But a cool reviewer, I forget who it was, some journalist was reviewing Modern Times and said Thunder on a Mountain was a very Rolling Stones vibe. And I thought that's very appropriate, because it's got a swing on it. Dylan says, can we talk about how infectious Mess It Up is? Oh, I'm with you already. If you saw Mick's Insta post from 2019 that previewed what would become Mess It Up, I loved it then. I love how it evolved on Hackney Diamonds. I'll have to check that, Dylan. I forgot about it. I included as many clips as I could from Mick's Instagram into my 2-part documentary on the making of the new album, but I forgot what that could have been. So I'm very interested. I love Mess It Up. I can't wait. Like I said earlier, I can't wait for it to be the next single, because I just can't wait for everyone else to. I hope everyone just grooves with it and connects with it, because if everyone loved Angry, how can you not love Mess It Up? I mean, Mess It Up is so fucking infectious. Like you say, it's dancey, it's catchy. And you know what's interesting to me, I was thinking about this, is that on any other album, Mess It Up would have been well, I call these the mix songs. And I know that's different terminology here, but for example, the album Bridges to Babylon. The song Anybody Seen My Baby was obviously Mick's pet song. It was his song, kind of, you know, so to speak, and he kind of pushed the production for it to be more pop-y. And on the album A Bigger Bang, the song, both songs, Streets of Love and Rainfall Down, were both kind of the pop-minded songs that Mick obviously was the one pushing forward. On this album, the whole thing seems to be very pop-ish, yet it's a little bit more evened out to me. And luckily, on any other album, Mess Up would have been dripping with pop ideas. It would have sounded like Undercover of the Night or something, where it's got, and I mean that in a positive way, because I love Undercover of the Night, but I mean, like, it would have been Charlie's drums layered with a beat, an electronic beat on top, but luckily not on this album. This is a organic sound for the most part, a very organic production for the most part, and it's very immediate, very direct. But I love it, man. I can't wait for people to latch onto that song. I can't wait to see the response for that. And I hope it does come out as a single. It deserves it. Kirk, nice to see you, man. Always been a nice supporter of the channel. So glad to see you here. 75 tour is a blast. Probably Ronnie's best tour. I'm with you. I love the 75 tour. Oh man, Ronnie's just ripping it. I hope people are checking. Go on YouTube. They have a bunch of clips from the Los Angeles show from 75. It's an interesting show, an interesting tour, because I was telling everyone earlier, the band sounds like they're going to fall apart at any moment. They are going 1,000 fucking miles an hour, and you wonder how they're going to get to the end of the finish line. And they managed to pull it together. It's really amazing. So yeah, I love that one. Hans Janssen, I hope I'm saying your name right. Sorry, Hans. The song that hooked me up with the Stones is It's All Over Now. Quite funny, because isn't that still 60 plus years of rock and roll? I'm so happy that I got hooked on them. That's a great track. Bobby Womack, right, wrote that song. Oh my God. Oh, geez, I'm just seeing these now. Oh, my God, Janice, thank you so much for that. That's very, very sweet. I thank you so much. That's so nice of you to donate something today. I was not expecting that. These are very wonderful, warm gestures, everybody, and I thank you so much for doing that. This is my pleasure, and I'm so happy that people are responding to the work and responding to the material here. So more to come. Like I was saying, it may feel like we're at the end of a journey with the album out now, and it's into fruition with this channel here, but by no means am I going away anytime soon in terms of content. I'm very much hoping the channel continues on. In fact, here's a preview. Next month is the 40th anniversary of the album Undercover. So I'll be devoting a lot of videos to the album Undercover. It is an album that deserves reevaluating for the people who have found distance with it. I refuse this idea that every album now needs to be labeled either the best album since Tattoo You. Everyone ignores Undercover, but anyway, I'm getting off track here. But the point is, next month I'll be spending a lot of time with Undercover, so that may be good news or bad news for people. But I invite you to challenge yourself. If that album was never your cup of tea, take a listen, take a watch to some of the videos coming up, because hopefully that'll give you some different points of view. But Janice, thank you so very much for that. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Sammy, Live by the Sword is my leading favorite, but I'm biased that Charlie and Bill play on that one. Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that's a great track. I mean, I've yet to hear... Oh, I'm sorry, you were talking to Captain Stax there. Captain Stax, as always looking ahead, but a very nostalgic closing with Rolling Stone Blues. Yeah, I was totally surprised that they would do that. And that one, according to... By the way, I don't know if people have done this, but I highly suggest checking out Rolling Stone magazine's... it wasn't a cover story. I don't know if it appeared in print, but it was a digital article. It was online. They did a nice spread on the making of the album. I don't know how many pages it was because it was digital, but they interviewed Andrew Watt and they interviewed Mick and the whole band. And it was Andrew Watt. It was his idea to have them record Rolling Stone Blues. And he had looked far and wide for the right guitar for Keith to use. And he tells the amazing story of how they recorded that, which is just, I don't know, it's quite something to read. I please invite everyone to go look for that article in Rolling Stone magazine. Came out about a month ago or less. He was talking about how it was just Mick and Keith in the room, and Keith on that semi-hollow acoustic guitar, and Mick on the vocal mic and the harmonica, and they slowly got closer and closer and closer and closer and closer as they recorded each take of Rolling Stone Blues. I believe Andrew Watt said that they recorded about 7 or 8 takes of it, and they chose the second to the last one. So if they had done 7 total, they had kept take 6 as the final recording on the album. So it's a hell of a moment on the album, and just poignant and just special. So yeah, that's a good one. Good call out there, Captain Stax. Armando, Whole Wide World is very intriguing. It's pop, but post-punk at the same time. It also reminds me of 90s Britpop. There's a lot of 90s elements, I think, in the album, especially like, hey, got some more recordings here. Especially, what's the track? Let me look it up here. Maybe Get Close, I think. I think it felt very 90s to me. Yeah, so I agree with you. Folks, just as a reminder, if you look at the ticker down below, if you'd like to send a recorded message to me where I will play the recording on the live stream as a way to like call in, feel free to go to the link that's written on the link, the ticker down below, speakpipe.com/hangfire. Hit record and send me a 90-second message. Say hello or say what you feel about the album, and we'll play it and we'll talk about it. So we're going to go back to a few of those right now because a few more have come in since we last checked up on the mailbox. So let's do that right now. I want to advise everyone not to include your email, please, because there's no need for it. And I would hate for it to show accidentally like it just kind of did. So please, no need to send your email when you submit. No need to send your name if you don't want to either. But please let me know as it's playing if you can hear something, because I want to make sure everyone is heard. So here we go. Alan, can't wait for this. Alan, let's hear what you have to say. Hi, Alan.
Hey, Justin. I think that Rolling Stones Blues is a perfect way to end the album. It's sort of like the Rolling Stones coming full circle. Love the album. I have to say that. I was definitely impressed after listening to the whole thing through. Anyway, glad you're doing great. Love the podcast. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you, man. Alan, thank you so much. Did everyone hear that? By the way, please let me know if you heard that last message from Alan, my good buddy. Great Stones fan. Seen them a bunch of times. Alan and I saw them a few times. Well, one time in particular together that was very special. But that was the second Los Angeles show in 2013. Or was it? Yeah, the second one, where they had Mick Taylor come on. And thank you, Kat Kramer. Appreciate you confirming. Mick Taylor played Sway and Can't You Hear Me Knocking and Midnight Rambler. He was already coming out to play Midnight Rambler on that tour, so that was a given. But we were in for a treat with having him play Sway and Can't You Hear Me Knocking. I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I tell a story on my Instagram of that moment when it happened. I mean, everyone in the crowd knew that, because what had happened was, this was 2013. This is their second show in Los Angeles. The first show in Los Angeles was the tour opener. And, oh, Kat Kramer, you were also there, huh? Oh, that's cool. That's great. It was a hell of a show, wasn't it? But my point is, there were 2 shows in Los Angeles. The first one was, I don't know, it was May 13th, I think it was, let's say. And they couldn't schedule the second show in Los Angeles to be until like the next week or week and a half or something. It was divided. There was a gap in between. Anyway, so fans had already known that, okay, well, we saw the show the other day. They must be planning something special for this next show. And boy, did they. You know, first came Sway, and we weren't expecting Mick Taylor to be on Sway. That's the first time he's played on Sway ever on stage with them. So that was a big deal. And so then there was this energy in the crowd of like, oh, shit, I mean, he's already here. You know, you guys know that we need another moment to not justify a second show, but to, you know, to celebrate, hey, we're seeing you a second time. They always like to pull out something special for these kind of occasions. And then they Keith comes out, rips into Can't You Hear Me Knocking, and the whole place lifts. I mean, we were all just like, oh my God, they're doing it. They're doing it. And by the time the song was over, it was like the audience turned into a sports audience, a crowd. It felt like we were at a not a rock show anymore. It was a sports event. The cheers coming out of people. We were literally floating after Mick Taylor played that wonderful solo into for Can't You Hear Me Knocking. So that was quite a moment. But yeah, Alan, thank you so much, man. Good to hear from you. The album is a hell of a trip, and Rolling Stone Blues is absolutely a return to form. So absolutely agree with you. One more message here from Curtis. Let's say hello to Curtis.
I think Keith Richards' song on the album's very good. I wish he had more songs on the album, to be fair. He used to have like 2 songs on the album, but on this album he only has 1. But I think Tell Me Straight is a very good Keith song.
Curtis, thank you so much. I agree. It's first time in a long time since it was just one Keith song. When was the last time? Was it Undercover? The last time it was just one Keith vocal on an album? Or yeah, because each one had 2. You know, oh my God, am I up to 10,000? People are mentioning 10,000 to me, and I'm wondering what that's in reference to. Holy crap! Okay, wow, fantastic. I'm in shock, just like that. And I wasn't expecting that to happen right now. I mean, or anytime soon. I saw that 10,000 was nearing the horizon, but I didn't know it would be happening. I thought it would be another month or so till that happened. So I'm so thrilled. Well, that's great. I think a lot of the shorts that I've been putting out, YouTube shorts, is really what's responding with people. So I'm happy that maybe that's what's bringing in some things. So thank you so much, guys, for making me aware of that 10,000 mark. That it literally just happened while we were on this call. So that was a real response. This is didn't know that we were that close. But yeah, I totally agree with you that the song that's here for Keith is "Tell Me Straight," and yeah, very, very. It's a half ballad, half medium tempo rocker. It's very intriguing, and I love that he chose to go that way. I could totally see this song be a after hours laid back thing, but I have a feeling that maybe Steve or Mick, but I bet you Steve Jordan may have said, Keith, take a look at the other songs on the album. I mean, they're trying to. We have there's a vibe here, and so I don't know. I don't think that, I'm just speculating. That probably didn't happen, but it definitely could have been a much bigger outlier. I think it fits very well with the aesthetic of the album. So I think that definitely works to their favor. So Matt, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate those kind words. 10,000. I'm in shock. Again, I'm just so happy. Captain Sachs, I hate to say it, but my first thought and feeling I got when I heard Rolling Stone Blues was that it was sort of a finale, like a closing on their career, a cherry on top. Let's hope not. Well, I can almost guarantee if you're thinking that, and anything you're thinking about the Stones, they're always going to think the opposite. I thought 2021 was going to be the last tour. I thought they were going to go out in a bang, and that was the end of that. They were just going to finish those shows because they had that contractual obligation to continue with that tour because it was postponed by the pandemic, and they would finish it out with Steve Jordan. Yet there they were. I thought there was going to be a swan song tour, and they came back. And I don't know, this album, it doesn't seem like it would be a final statement to make, because Mick has been very verbal, as well as Ronnie, that the next album is not in the works, but see, they had recorded or worked on about 23 songs in total when they started these sessions last fall. So of those 23, they polished up and finished these 12 that would become Hackney Diamonds. So there are a bunch of 11 songs out there in the can that they're going to return to, apparently. So Mick is very optimistic that they will return to those songs very soon. So could we see another album in the next year or so? I don't know. Maybe. That's ridiculous to think about, but that's what it seems like. He wouldn't be afraid for things to go that way. So, yeah. Not a fan of Keith's last solo album, Christopher. Yeah, well, I have to go back to that, 'cause I also was kind of a little wishy-washy. There were some parts I loved. I loved the production of it. I loved how groovy it was, as all of Keith's solo stuff is. It's always just so in the body. My favorite being Main Offender, which I understand is not the go-to approved favorite. Talk is Cheap is the classic, which it is. It's such a great fucking album. A lot of good stuff on Talk is Cheap, but Main Offender has a lot of good jams. Remy's, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Jeff, my man, I'm so happy you were here to see the $10,000 subscriber, Freudian slip, 10,000 mark. Thank you so much. Janice, thank you so much. I appreciate the love here, and we all got to be together for this 10,000 subscriber mark. I wasn't expecting it, so I'm so happy. Christopher Malloy says there's mucho bad blood between Mick Taylor and the Stones. Yeah, I don't know how things ended there, but it seemed like they were working together very well in 2013 and 14. That things began to become a little bit frayed. So let's see. Wes, I want to make sure I get your comment. I'm so happy with this album. I was 9 when A Bigger Bang came out, so I wasn't super into it. This one, I'm 27 for, and I haven't been this happy with something in a long time. Great show, hell of an album. Well, fantastic. Thank you, Wes. I'm so pleased to hear that. I love hearing from so-called young fans, because we're out there. Young fans are, I'm calling myself young, but my point is there's a variety of fans out there. That's why, I'm sorry to say, folks, you're going to see the tide turn when it comes to people talking about favorite albums and favorite songs, because I'm sorry to say, there's going to be an influx of different points of views coming in the next. It's already starting, just like Wes said, people are digging the 90s albums, the perspective that people get from not growing up from that era into the 90s or the 80s, so to speak, that's not going to affect certain people who didn't grow up during that time. So you're going to see a lot of people speak highly of albums that have traditionally been dismissed over the years, but you might be surprised to see that there's going to be a lot of love for albums you didn't expect there to be love for, and you might see a lot of that love on this channel coming in the future, so be aware of that. But anyway, the point is, the Stones have a huge catalog, and there's enough love to go around for all the albums. No Name says, Depending on You equals Moonlight Mile. Yeah, that's an interesting premise. I love that idea. They're both emotional songs, isn't it? There's a lot of emotion on this album. Christopher Malloy, why was Ronnie officially invited into the band, but Daryl hasn't? That's a good question. I don't know. There's always been talk about Daryl, and I don't know why. I mean, so Daryl, Chuck LaValle hasn't been asked either to be an official member. I know the question. Ian Stewart there was never an official member on the piano, but just because there was an opening as a bass player doesn't mean that has to be an opening in founding members positions. Yeah, it's a good question. No, I don't think it has anything to do with Daryl not looking like a stone, whatever that implies. But I think it's a little bit more complicated than any of those things. I think it has to do with legalities of the salary and how much money people are getting as support musicians, and also just how much they're inviting other people to be part of the process. I mean, are they looking for another business owner in this late of the game? Because that's really what a founding member is. Or if you're going to be part of the Stones, you're not just a Stone in name, you're a Stone in legal terms. You're going to be making decisions on the band and the brand. So I think people are discounting what it is to be a Stone. It's not just the title. It comes with a lot of paperwork. And so I think they're very selective with, which is anyone, doesn't matter what they look like or whatever, on who they will invite on board to be that way. And maybe Ronnie Wood was an easy decision because it was a relatively young band at that time. So, yeah, exactly. Mystified me. Chuck Leval, Stone. Well, I know what you're getting at. I would like Chuck if he. I like Chuck a lot. I wish he would play the real piano instead of the keyboard. Good song, 999. Yeah, it was. Had the same feeling when I read they would put Rolling Stone Blues on the album. Yeah, it's very easy to go that direction. Poignant moment, and it is. I'm not going to take that away from anyone. I think if it is, then let it be that. With Rolling Stone Blues, I found it funny that they chose the band's name quickly by looking at the record that Brian had nearby, and they actually lived up to the name. Yeah, because they're constantly rolling, aren't they? I want to play one more recording from. Do we have any more recordings? Because this might be the last one. Here is one more recording from Alan. Oh, okay, there was nothing there, so that's done. Let me remove that. So I'm closing the recorded message option that is now not available for people in case that was something you were thinking of doing. But yeah, as we begin to wind down, because I do want to end the stream with significant clips from last night's show, exclusive clips from the club gig that they did to launch Hackney Diamonds. A lot of cool moments were there where it was captured, and so I definitely want to share that with you guys. Here we go again. Steel Wheels best album. How old are you? Kirk, take it easy. As I'm saying, people are becoming a little. That's going to be happening a lot. You're going to have people who grew up at a different age, different time, different era, and were exposed to different albums. And different music. I mean, not everyone had the same menu of music growing up. So if someone is digging Steel Wheels or Voodoo Lounge, it has a lot to do with their what the music they had around them. So, but yeah. With that being said, I think I'm going to start to wind down here, folks. I've been so appreciative of. Oh, fantastic! Oh, that's so nice, Edmund. Thank you. I didn't notice this, but thank you so much, Edmund, for contributing as well. I was not expecting that at all. Everyone has been so generous, and I thank everyone. I want to thank Christopher. I want to thank Janice. Thank you so much for recognizing me in that way. I was not expecting something like that. So I'm just happy to be here. I think I'll have to do one. I promised on the channel that I would do one more live stream. Well, I'm going to do many live streams, but I did promise that I would do a live stream for when we reach 10,000 subscribers, which we just did. So it's ironic that I was talking about I would only do a live stream once we reach 10,000, and I was doing a live stream as we were reaching 10,000. But the next live stream will absolutely be something I call Stone's Boot Radio, which I've only done once before, and it's still on the channel in case you want to check it out. It's still there. It's called Stone's Boot Radio because what I do is it's very much like this kind of vibe, but it's a lot more music. In fact, it's 97% more music. What it is, it's basically a radio show, which is a stupid reference because what the hell is a radio show? No one knows what a radio show is anymore. But the point is, you get the point. It's a radio show where I play deep cuts from my collection of Stone's bootleg recordings. And it's a whole hour and a half of just that. I'm playing stuff from the 75 tour. Last time I played stuff from the 75 tour. I played stuff from 1973, some tracks from the Wembley show. Mick Jagger blasting it on his fantastic version of Gimme Shelter, which he always did on that tour. And on every show, I like to focus a good chunk of the show to a particular era. And, excuse me, on that show, I focused on the 1981 Superdome show. So I played about 7 cuts in a row from that show on that on the Boot Radio. So it was about 20 tracks of deep cuts from that from my collection, which I play. Yeah, so I absolutely. Oh, thank you, Christy. Smash that like button. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Christy, for being here and for your support. Really appreciate it. Yeah. So another question here was, where do you do that, Justin? Christy? This will be on this channel. It'll be just like here, just like you saw this live stream come around on your feed or wherever you found it. I will do the same. I will mention it a week before it happens, and you'll get notified. I don't know how people find these things, so you'll probably get a video saying, "Oh, Justin is planning a live stream this Saturday." It'll probably be a Saturday or a weekend for sure, and you'll join just like you do here, and make sure you're connected to your favorite listening device or a sound bar, your stereo, because the music is fucking great, and it's a nice time to rock out. Good question, Christopher. I can't answer that. You have to play tunes from the Aragon show. Absolutely, Jeff. You know, did I play anything from... I didn't play anything last time I did this, Jeff, from the Aragon show. But I'm going to, because I know what cuts I want to share off that track. But you know what I did play, Jeff? I did play some tracks from the club show that they did in Chicago in 1997 at the Double Door. I've never been to the Double Door. I was too young to be at the Double Door. But I don't know. I think you remember... You're a big concert guy. You've been to every venue in Chicago, so I know you must have remembered the Double Door. But yeah, that'll be definitely happening. I guess now I'll have to be next week or so. I'll see if I can. I've already got it set up. I just have to clean things up in terms of picking the right songs, and then we can do the live stream of Boot Radio. So yeah. Stone's Boot Radio is the next live stream, I think, where, like I said, it's an hour and a half, hour-ish show of classic Stones. And, you know, it's a mix of, mostly I go for the soundboard, pristine, good recordings, and I also will go for some audience stuff, but only if it, you know, if it calls for it. Because, I mean, last time I played a live version of Parachute Woman from the 2002 Philadelphia show, I think is where they played that. Tower Theater, I believe. But yeah, how often did they play Parachute Woman? Not often. And I also did a live version of Heart of Stone from 2002. So yeah, I like to go for the deep stuff, and usually in great quality, so y'all can dance and have a good time and relax listening to the stuff. And yeah, and also we'll mix in some audience stuff there, so then it's a variety of stuff, because if it's important to listen to, then I think everyone should listen to that. Oh, what's it, Steven? What do you have to say here? Ironically, Rolling Stone Records is going to stream the sound check from Double Door this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Is that right? What is that? Rolling Stone Records is going to stream the sound check from Double Door. Huh, I'm a little confused by that, Steven. What are you referencing to? Yeah, very curious to know what they're streaming there. Maybe you could clarify. But yeah, so I'll have an announcement made about Stone's Boot Radio very soon, so then you can all join in there too. But these I want to make sure. I want to get things prepped up here. These live streams have been so helpful and so great to meet everyone, to chat with everyone, and to connect with everyone, because it is important, I think, to do this. And yeah, so I'm super pleased that we're able to do this. I hope people are keeping an eye on. You know, there's so many things to look out for, but I'm putting up mostly videos, as you know, on the channel, but I'm also putting up things on the podcast. I'm not sure how many people tune into the podcast, but the podcast, I know it's confusing, because the word podcast, it's sort of a malleable word. It's used in a different way. Obviously, this thing on YouTube can be called a podcast. It's a video podcast, but I'm using, oh, I see. He called it, I see, the sound check before the concert. Yeah, I'll have to get with you on that, Stephen, later, because I'm curious what you mean. I might be getting lost here on what you're speaking about, the Double Door. But The podcast is I'm putting up content there. I have 2 episodes of the podcast. That's, the kind of content you would listen to on a podcast on, usually load it up on Spotify or Google Podcasts or Amazon or Apple Podcasts. That is all up there as well. It's whole different content from the content that I do here. That is obviously just audio based content, and it's not just like these videos and I rip the audio and just put up on the podcast. No. It's a whole different content that I write and produce just for the podcast format. So it's special to just that, and it's unique to just the podcasting. So check that out in case you're interested in the podcast. In case you've got a nice drive ahead of you and need to listen to something, suggest listening to that. But yeah, I'll be putting up a bunch of stuff in the next few days from last night's surprise gig. I have a bunch of exclusive video that no one else has, from someone who was in attendance there, and some amazing stuff. And it'll be dripping out in different places here on YouTube. A lot of them as shorts, because a lot of them are under a minute long. They're just small little clips, so you might have to check my shorts section on YouTube Shorts. And I hope people are aware of the differences here. There are 2 avenues of content on YouTube. There's full-length videos, which is what most people see my stuff on, things that are like 5 minutes long. But YouTube Shorts also has that tiny short video clip thing, like the TikTok thing. It's just like you move past it. They're called YouTube Shorts here. Anyway, I have a bunch of Stone stuff that are on the shorts section too. So that's where you'll see a lot more of my clips from last night will be posted as shorts. I hope you jump on my Instagram as well, because I'll be posting a lot more clips on my Instagram as well from last night's show, because it was a hell of a show. So as we wind down here, I want to thank everyone for taking the time, listening, and thank you again for everyone for contributing. Wasn't expecting that, and I'm so happy I got to spend it with everyone here, especially with my 10,000 subscribers all in one. Before we go, Curtis says, could you find a rare version of You Got the Silver? I'll try. The first time it was ever performed was in 1999. So if that's rare, then I can find a bunch of those. It was never performed live before then, believe it or not. That was the first time he ever performed that song. And as a note, it's a good thing for me to note, the Boot Radio show is mostly live material. I will have maybe 1 or 2 studio outtakes, but I don't have too many of those. I did have 1 studio outtake that I included on the last Boot Radio broadcast, but I don't tend to rely on that too much. It's mostly live stuff. But if there's something there I'd like to add, then I will add it. So yeah. So if Curtis, if that is rare enough for you, you got it. I will include something from You Got the Silver. Hans, it's 3:45 in the morning where I live, west coast of Sweden. It's been a long day and night, so I will get to bed. Good night, folks. Congrats, Justin, to 10,000 subs. Thank you, Hans, so well. Hans Janssen, thank you so very much. Appreciate that. And on that note, I want to thank everybody. Don't leave yet unless you have to, but I'm going to be ending here with some extended clips from last night's show in case you haven't seen it. One including a very special performance by Lady Gaga from the song Sweet Sounds of Heaven from last night's launch party at New York City at the Racket Club. So again, I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me. But stay tuned here for a couple moments of this fantastic clips from last night's show. pretty awesome.